So everybody, welcome to today's video. Obviously, we're going to be taking over Monaco. I put a poll up on the community page like we do every week, asking everybody who want me to take over Monaco. It was very, very close between Monaco and Girona. I think there was like 2% in it. So we'll probably end up doing the Girona video next week then, seeing it was so close. But Monaco, honestly, they have a good history in the French League of being a pretty good team. Obviously, PSG has got all their money. Things have kind of went sideways a little bit. Monaco were still a good team. They still have a good team, but just PSG being PSG, it makes it a little difficult to fight them. So we're here to knock PSG off their reign of terror, hopefully, because I'm on an updated database, and they do have Kvaratskhelia. Because if you go over into the club info screen, they have got 4-star reputation. They have 4.5-star training facilities and 4.5-star youth facilities. So a very good club. Youth recruitment is only 2.5 stars. Honestly, joking aside, I've been at clubs where I've had 5-star youth recruitment. I've never got a good youth intake. I've been at clubs that had 2-star and I end up getting the best one. Obviously, this is something we're going to want to get up with time. And if you go into their history, the last time they won the league was in 2017, which is a long time ago. The French Cup, the last time they won that was in 1991. They have no European Cups, so no Europa League, no Champions League, no Europa Conference League. So I would like to rectify that and try and bring a wee bit of European silverware to the club. But the main thing, obviously, is going to be stopping this over here. They have won the league. When was the last time? Monaco haven't won it, 2017. And then obviously, like I said, PSG have just, since they've got all the money, they just had like they had Neymar, Messi and Mbappe at one point in their team. Like, how you meant to stop that? But that is going to be our goal, to stop this and try and win the league game with Monaco, because they do have some fantastic players. Mohamed Salisu, I think he played in the Premiership, didn't he? Yeah, he used to play for Southampton. I knew he did. A very good centre back, 6'3", still only 25 years old. Another one is young Wilfried Singo. Mostly he plays as a right back, but he's one of those ones that he's a very good centre back, and if you train him well, look, he's already 6'3", can play reasonably well both feet. Physical stats are absolutely insane, 70 determination, and he's only 23. They also have the Brazilian Vanderson, the right back, very good, once again, still only 23 years old. They have Dennis Zakaria, another one that's a really good DM/centre midfield, 27. Then on top of that, they also have Alexander Golovin, who's absolutely fantastic in this game. The forward line is where things get a little spicy. They do have a good team. Elise Benzaguer, obviously still only 19 years old, got a long way to go, but you can see he's a fantastic player. He can play fantastic at both feet, good mentality, super consistent. Good dribbling, good first touch, passing technique, a very technically good player, and he's only 19. On top of that, they only recently acquired Folarin Balogun, another one. I think he came from Arsenal, didn't he? Yeah, he came from Arsenal for 25. He's been at Arsenal for so long. Another one, really good player, can play with both feet, still only 23. And then obviously on top of that, they also have Brel and Bolo up top, 6'2". Physical stats are absolutely insane. You know how much I love a big physical player up top, and he is like the epitome of that. I didn't realize he was 27 now. If you remember back in the day, Brel Bolo was one of the best Wonderkids in the game at one point. Honestly, 27 is still young. Like, we could still get a good 5, maybe 6 years out of him if he stays fit. So with that being said, I think this is the formation going to kind of go with for the team. I feel like this just kind of suits the players that we've got. We have 2 good inside forwards and a good striker. We have a couple of guys that are good in the center of the park. We have a good DM. This guy is also on loan. Ali Al Musrati. I don't know who he's actually on loan from. Besiktas. He's actually really good. He's 28, 6'4", which is fantastic because it keeps the physicality of our team up. And then obviously 3 or 4 at the back. We do need a keeper. Well, the keeper situation at the club isn't fantastic. So that is one area we are going to have to probably look in. If you look at the club though, we do have 25 million to spend. So that means that all I really need to do is bring in a keeper. Obviously, the squad depth is a little low, but look, we can't have everything perfect in the first season. With regards to competitions, we're going to be playing in the league. Obviously, we're going to be playing the trophies, the champions. We have to qualify for the Champions League, which we should do pretty easily as long as we don't get anybody crazy. And then we're also in the French Cup. So like I said, squad depth is going to be good. But like the rest of the team, like, we have some decent players in there. I would say this first team with another keeper, it'll be hard to push PSG off the league, but like, we could give them a good run with this team. Go do a little dabbling in the transfer market. Obviously, like I said, a keeper is going to be the main priority. So I'm going to go do that, see if we can maybe sell anybody, make a bit more cash. So then on top of that, before I forget, another thing that we also need to do is clear out the staff. As you can see, I've gutted the staff. They were, how do I put this? Absolutely fucking horrendous. So I always like to because people always leave in the comments down below and ask me every rebuild how I go about finding the good regen staff. So I always like to show everybody in the video. So the first thing I do, obviously go into staff search, go over here and go to coaching attributes, and then over here, just go to tactical coaching and make sure 20 or 19 is at the top, whatever you're, obviously depending on how good the club is that you're at, the higher the number, the better. So all I do is just scroll down. I look for attacking and defense here, and just anybody that has both of those stats. I'll try and scroll down because I showed you this the last time, but my camera was behind it. So this guy, he's ahead of youth development. He's got 17 attacking and 16 defense. I couldn't spit that out. If you go into him, he's a regen staff member. He is very, very good all round. So all you do is just go in, approach a sign. Generally, most of the time, they'll go, yes, I'm happy to be a coach. And then sometimes the ones that are very, very good will want to be ahead of youth development. But this is all I do. I literally just scroll down. I look for people who are ahead of youth development and have good attacking and good defense, and then I literally just go into him. Here's another guy, he's got 16 and 15. There you go, 16 and 15, 15 mental, 15 tactical, 15 technical, working with youngsters. He's also got good determination level, discipline, motivation. So once again, go in and sign him. He wants to be a coach for the second team. Obviously, I'm going to say no and make him a coach for the first team. Suggest, he's happy enough. And then I just rinse and repeat. This is all I do. I just find really, really good stuff. Obviously, the staff are going to be dependent on the club that you're at. If you're at like a Vanarama national team, you're not going to have staff that are like 15 and 16 for attacking and defense. You have to sort of curb your expectations based on the club that you're at. But that's pretty much all I do to find good coaches. The same for my assistant manager. Like I said, obviously we needed a keeper, so I have went and got Ilian Meslier. Look, I don't know why I said it. Look, we're in France. You have to make everything sound French, okay? But joking aside, look, obviously he's French, but he's only 24. He's a fantastic keeper in the game. He's 6'5", has a ton of potential. We got him for a total of, I can't hit the button, 14.7 million, working its way up to 24.5 million. Look, I think this is a really, really good deal for a keeper that we could have at the club for 10 years. But on top of that, we also don't have our own defensive midfielder. The two guys that are here are in on loan. So I wanted to bring someone in on our own, but I wanted to get someone a little cheaper. Just obviously we're going to need squad depth too. So I've brought in Batista Mende, another one, 6'3", big physical unit, can play with both feet. He's only 24. He was very cheap, a total of 5 million. I was very surprised. He's a really, really good player. Obviously, look, he's not a world beater, but he does everything that we need to do in defensive midfield. Just run about and kick the shit out of people. So the team is looking pretty good. Honestly, joking aside, I think this team is very, very good. But we are playing an attack and tactic, so the tactic may change a little bit because you know what it's like. If you go to attacking in Football Manager, you end up conceding quite a lot of goals. But I think we do have the defense to cover it as well. So it's going to be Meslier. I didn't show you K.O. Henrik. He is our left back currently. He's already at the club, but look, good dribbling, good crossing, good first touch. He's still only 26 and he's Brazilian, so obviously he knows how to play football. But joking aside, he's a good player. So it's going to be Henrik, Salisa, Singo, and Vandersen, Mendy, Golovin, and Zakaria in the middle of the park. Then Ben Seguir, Bolligan, and Embolo. Honestly, I think this team's absolutely fantastic. I don't know how the assistant manager is going to pick the team, though. So this is the assistant manager's best 11. Keeper stays, backline changes. The guy that we have in on loan comes in on loan instead of Mendy. So obviously, I'm going to have to lock Mendy into the middle of the park. Then it brings in Minamino, who is actually pretty solid. I don't mind him, but obviously we're going to play Ben Seguir in here. We'll have to find him. So apart from that, honestly, the changes kind of stay really the same. So these are the only three people I'm going to lock in for the season. It's going to be Mendy and DM, Ben Seguir in there, and Braille and Bolo. Don't get me wrong. If Braille and Bolo doesn't play up here and he plays over here, it's perfectly fine. Can he play with both feet? No, he's very one-footed, so I kind of want him to play as our striker. I like both of these players, the inside forwards, that both be able to play with both feet, so I'm just going to keep them there. But that's the only three people we're going to have to lock in for the entire season. But boys, all in all, I think we've got a really, really good team. But like I said, can we stop PSG? How long is it going to take us? I don't know. But this is going to be an exciting one. I love the French league, the same as the German league. You can just bring in a bunch of players. There's not a ton of registration rules with regards to that. It's a really, really fun league. Obviously, I'll bring this back in January if there's anybody interested and approach the signs. And then hopefully in April, if you pray to anybody, pray to them that we actually get a good youth intake in the start of April. If you don't see us then, and you see us at the end of the season, you know it was terrible. But boys, let's go play the first season. So boys, we're at the end of season 1. Obviously, our goal is to just, at some point, push PSG off their reign of terror in France. It's going to take a little while to do that. We do have a good team. Let's go and see how we did in the league first. So we started things off with a hard-fought match against PSG. They started off the scoring through Dembele. Just nobody decided to stop him. We hit back 10 minutes later through Bolligan for the game to finish 1-1 on the night, but it just shows we can hang with PSG. They made a fantastic 1-0 win away over the Olympique Lyon, and Brolo got the only goal. They made a fantastic win over Lille. We start off the scoring through Big Brel and Bolo. They hit back then just after half time to make it 1 each. But in the 60th minute, Big Brel and Bolo got a second goal to let us win 2-1. With some fantastic results. We finished third, which I think is a really, really good result. But if you noticed, PSG didn't win the league. Olympique Marseille won the league, which I feel like it's a wee bit of a lost opportunity, but we played absolutely fantastic. We played 34 games, 23 wins, 9 draws, which is honestly probably what kind of cocked us a little bit. But we only had 2 defeats, the Olympique Marseille and Lens. I just feel like the draws kind of killed us a little bit. We had 60 goal difference and we on 78 points. We were joined with PSG and then 3 behind Olympique Marseille. So basically the win they got over us help them win the league. But the fantastic thing is we are doing well in the stats. Braylon Bolo with 29 league goals. He's 10 ahead of anybody else. Then Belligan right in there in third. So we've 2 guys in the top 3 for goals. Then we have average ratings. Kalo Henrique is in there. And then he's also in there at the top for assists. We have 2 people in the yellow cards. None of them is firsts, which means I'm definitely disappointed. Look, if you're going to get yellow cards in my team, make sure you're first, okay? Then we have Big Meslier. I don't know why. I feel like I have to say his name. He is in there third for clean sheets, which I'm pretty happy with. Donnarumma top, obviously, because it's Donnarumma. And then Braylon Bolo is in there for player of the matches. If you go to the team overall stats, most points per game, look, we are right in there behind Olympique Marseille, and then PSG are right there with us. It's mostly us in the top 3. Most goals is PSG with 90. We've got 89. Olympique Marseille's get 82. Most shots for was actually us by about 20 shots, which is pretty good. Few shots against. Obviously, with Donnarumma having the most clean sheets, they're going to have the best defense. It was by 40 shots, a big enough difference. Then for clean sheets, we are sitting in 4th, which no, I mean, I'm happy enough with. I don't like the Rennes is above us. I don't like that at all. And then fewest conceded. PSG at the top of 25, us with 29. Look, we're only 4 behind PSG. I'm going to take us as a massive positive. It is upsetting. This would have probably been a great opportunity for us to try and win the league in the first season. But look, it is what it is. But it's nice to see. Look, if we're not going to stop PSG's reign of terror, we can help somebody else win it. But let's jump over, see how we did in the cup. So we start things off in the 9th round of the French Cup against Estres FC. We beat them 4-0. Then in the 10th round, we actually got Olympique Marseille, the people who just won the league. We ended up smashing them 3-1. Then in the 11th round, we faced off against Chamarelles. We ended up beating them 3-1, which took us on to the quarterfinals, where we actually faced off against PSG. We ended up smashing them 3-1. So that's the top 2 teams in the league this year we've put out of the cup already. Then that took us to the semi-finals, where we faced off against Olympique Lyon. We ended up smashing them 4-0. Which then took us to the cup final, where we faced off against FC Lorient. We start off the scoring through Big Ben Seguir. They hit back 10 minutes later. Then a penalty in the 29th minute from Big Brel and Bolo brought the cup home to us. Which means in our first season, boys, we may not have won the league, but we got a wee piece of silverware, which is the cup. I think us putting out Olympique Marseille and PSG give us a pretty good run of going through and winning the cup. Because like if we can beat those 2 teams in the cup, we could definitely win it. And like I said, it was nice and to get a wee bit of silverware. But this takes us on to the Champions League. So like I said, that took us to the Champions League, where we actually had to do we had to qualify. So we started off against Dynamo Kiev. We drew 2 each in the first match. In the second match, we ended up beating them 2-0, which took us on to the next qualifying path. And Ligue 2 is actually the playoffs after the qualifying, where we ended up facing off against RB Salzburg. I feel like that's 2 really good teams. We drew them first each. We drew them 1 each in the first match. In the second match, they weren't so lucky. We smashed them 3-0, which took us to the Champions League group stages. We were in Group C, where we faced off against Atalanta, beating them 3-1. We then unfortunately got beat 2-0 by Barcelona, but all in all, it's Barcelona. They made a 1-each draw away to Stuttgart. This is a team I feel like we should be beating. So it means in our group we have Stuttgart, Barcelona and Atalanta. In the next match, we did go on to beat Stuttgart 3-1. Unfortunately, we then got beat by Atalanta. Then in our final match, we ended up drawing 1-each with Barcelona. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with this result. Which means in our Group C, we finished second. We played 6 games, drew 2, won 2 and lost 2. It was pretty close. Atalanta finishing bottom is absolutely wild. So this took us on to the round of 16, where we faced off against Inter. We actually started off the scoring through Braille and Bolo. Balogun then made it 2-0. Menamino then made it 3. And in the 86th minute, Martinez got 1 to finish 3-1 on the night to us. So going into the second leg, we had a very, very hefty lead. They started off the scoring in the second minute through Marcus Thuram. 4 minutes later, they made it 2-0. Thuram then made it 3. Thuram then made it 4 to get his 4th. And in the 70th minute, Thuram got another one to smash us 5-0 in the night. So unfortunately, we ended up going out of the Champions League. After having such a good win in the first match, we just absolutely threw it away, getting beat 5-0 in the second leg. I'm not going to lie, I'm actually very, very disappointed with this, because after such a good performance in the first match, this is upsetting. So then if you go over to the competitions page after the first season, look, finishing third, I would have liked to try and win the league while PSG were not in great form. Made it to the round of 16 against Inter. Look, I don't want to talk about it. I'm very upset that we threw that away. Obviously then winning the French Cup, which is absolutely fantastic, and then we were runner-up in the Trophées de Champions. Then with regards to player performances, young Meslier started 52 games, conceded 49 with 17 clean sheets. Jan Henrik then started 49 games at left back, 5 goals, 17 assists, so he had a very, very good season. They're all just upset because Breel Mbolo wants a new contract, by the way. Then his compatriot on the other side, Vanderson, only started 22 games, had a decent amount of injuries over the season, 15 off the bench, 2 goals and 4 assists, so only 6 goal involvements. Not a great season. Then Mohamed Salisu at centre back started 22 games, 22 off the bench. Once again, he had a few injuries as well, 2 goals, 1 assist. Then Big Singo at centre back played 25 games, 14 off the bench, 3 goals, 9 assists. 9 assists for centre backs, pretty solid. He's also wanted by Real Madrid, so yeah, we may end up losing him in the summer. Then Big Mendy as our defensive midfielder started 51 games. Obviously, I locked him in for the season just to make sure he was playing. 12 goals and 6 assists, so 18 goal involvements for a DM. I'm pretty happy with that. Then Big Gallivan in the middle of the park, 47 games started, 6 goals, 13 assists, so 19 goal involvements. Not bad once again for centre midfield on support. Then in beside him, Big Sakaria only started 18 games, which means either he got a few injuries or someone else was playing in his position, because then he had 20 off the bench, 3 goals, 1 assist. Who's he wanted? West Ham. It's always Premiership teams. Then as our inside forward, young Ben Seguir, this is one I actually want to start just playing as much as possible. Obviously, I locked him in for the season just to make sure he got a bit of football. Started 49 games, 10 goals, 16 assists, so 26 goal involvements in his first season for a dude that was only 19. That's pretty good. Then on the right-hand side, Big Balogun had a very, very good season. 51 games started, 23 goals, and 12 assists. So what's that? 35 goal involvements in 51 games. Yeah, no wonder he wants a new contract. Then the big man up top, Breel Mbolo, 50 games started, 41 goals, 3 assists. A really good season for him. He is phenomenal. And then I was trying to figure out who played most of our games in centre midfield. It seems to have been Al Maserati, the guy that's on loan. He started 38 games, 1 goal, 6 assists. Look, he is a good player, but I would rather have our player starting. Honestly, he's very, very... If he was 26, I would honestly pay the 10 million and keep him at the club. But because he's going to be 30 this year, because he's 6'4", he's pretty good all round. He can play with both feet, good mentality, consistent, enjoys the big games. But I'm not going to pay 10 million for a 30-year-old. I would rather invest that into someone a little younger. But all in all, boys, I think an absolutely fantastic season. I'm very, very happy with this team. With regards to replacements, we're not going to be able to do much. The boards only give us 11.7 million. So unless we sell somebody, more than likely I think we're going to lose Singo, because if Real Madrid comes knocking, the same with Vanderson, Arsenal wants him. Look, if the Premiership comes knocking, especially big teams, it's going to be hard to keep a hold of him. But I think we had a very, very good season. Next season, I would like to capitalise a wee bit more in the league and try and push PSG a wee bit more. Obviously, we finished on the same points as PSG, which is fantastic, but I really do believe we slipped up. We just had too many draws, and we could have won the league in our first season. But look, it is what it is. But boys, that is the end of season 1. Let's move over into season 2. So moving over into season 2, obviously we knew there was a few people that was going to end up going out the door. Vanderson did end up going to Arsenal. Look, I can't really stop him. We're Monaco in the French League versus the Premiership. So we sold him for a total of 40 million. Look, I would have liked a wee bit more money for him, but they wouldn't budge on the 40 million, and it was just straight cash. So he's away to Arsenal. Then we also lost Big Singo. Look, we knew this was going to happen. Real Madrid were interested in. Once again, the same as the Arsenal deal. I can't really stop him going. But we did get decent cash for him. 27 million, or 27.5 million. I think for a player he's kind of at his peak. He's going to go to Real Madrid. He's going to be a squad player. And look, he would have started for us. I would have been happy to keep him. He's 24, 6'3", big unit of a player. But when Real Madrid come knocking, it's kind of hard to say no. Then we did also lose Alexander Golovin. He ended up going to AC Milan. The same thing. Look, they're a big reputation club. Got 25 million up front, 35 million after installments. So all in all, we made a decent amount of cash. Look, he's a player, once again, didn't want to lose. But we're Monaco. I can't really stop him going to the big clubs. Then one other young player we lost. I actually didn't want to lose this guy because he actually has really, really good reputation. Is Georgi Elenikiana. He was out on loan last year. Obviously, he's only 18 years old. I wanted to keep him around, but Spurs came in and offered us 7.5 million, working his way up to 10.5. I said no, it was 6 million. He got upset, wanted to leave. Obviously, it's the Premiership, so at least we got a wee bit of cash for him. But he was one I actually wanted to loan out for a couple seasons and just see how good he got. Then obviously with us losing Single, we were going to need centre back, so the first person I went out and got was Tanguy Nianzou. Like I said, trying to keep as many young French players in the team, but also he was upset he's spaghetti at his club, had a 38 million listed clause. Look, 6'3", he's French, he's only 23 years old. Physical stats are absolutely insane, mental stats are good, and he's a good ball playing defender. So went out, paid the money for him. Happy to get him in the door. He's also 6'3". We were also lacking at centre back, so I also went out and got El Chabul Badishebu. Is that how you say that? Shadidi. And look, I'm not going to try and pronounce that. I'm not French. I don't know how to say things. But he's another one. We got him really, really cheap. 7 million. I think it's an absolute steal for a young player. He's 6'5". Physical stats are insane. Mental stats are also very, very good. Needs a wee bit of time, but I am probably more likely going to lock him into the team and just get him a wee bit of football because he's only 20 years old. So it means our two centre backs are 6'5" and 6'3", and both French. Obviously, with Vanderson leaving, we were going to need a right back, so I went out and got Gedson Fernandes. Young Portuguese player, causes a total of 20 million, working its way up to 30. Look, it is what it is. We get rid of Anderson for like 40 million, brought him in for 30, so we made ourselves 10 million. Honestly, I think he's a wee bit of a better player. Once again, he's only 26 years old. He's got a good mentality, enjoys the big games. Physically, an absolute beast. Like, he's got 14 strength. He's also 6 foot. Mental stats are actually insane. He's also got 17 work rate and 17 teamwork on top of good dribbling, good first touch. I'm probably going to work on his passing and vision a little bit, but apart from that, he's an absolute unit of a player, and like that's what we want, a big physical team. But then with Gallivan going out the door, I needed someone to play in the centre of the park, so I went out and got a San Quadrago, another one, 6'3", big unit of a player. He's only 19 years old. Got him for a total of 12 million, which I think is an absolute steal. We sold Gallivan for, how much did we sell Gallivan for? A total of 35 million. I couldn't remember off the top of my head there. So we got rid of Gallivan for 35 million, brought him in for 12, which is nearly half the price of that. So I think this is a really, really good deal. Obviously, once again, gonna need a wee bit of time. He's only 19 years old, but like I said, our team is looking very, very good now. Because if you go over and look at our starting lineup, it's Meslier, Henrique. Couple people wanted, but there was no real follow-up interest. Badishebu as the left centre back, Nianzou as the right centre back, Fernandes, Mendy. So in the middle of our park, 6'3", 6'3". I've also brought this young guy up. He was out on loan last season. 6'6". But here's another thing. He's only 17 years old. He's playing at a star and a half, has 4 to 5 star potential. Will he reach that? I don't know. But he's one. I'm going to bring him up in the first team and lock him in for a season. Look, I think this kid could have some serious potential, but the only way he's going to get any better is if we bring him in and play him. Look, 6 foot. The fact that he's 6'6". So our team is 6'5", 6'3", 6'3", 6'3", 6'6", and Brill and Bolo 6'2". So we've got a big physical team. So Nianzai and Nia Bombay, I think that's how you say his name, Benzagir, Balogun. Balogun has signed a new contract, so he's going to be here for a while. The same with Brill and Bolo. Both of them wanted new deals. Obviously, they had fantastic seasons, so I didn't mind giving them contracts. And then obviously Brill and Bolo up top. The rest of our team is looking very, very good. Like, our squad depth, as you can see over here, is very, very good. There may be a few players I bring in. I would like a wee bit more depth at centre back. I'm thinking about maybe bringing Nathan Zizi in, the young centre back, bringing him in, send him out on loan for a couple seasons. He's one, look, I do want to kind of maybe bring in at some point, but I'm not massively focused on that right now. This is the team going into season 2. Obviously, I'll bring us back in January if there's anybody available for purchase signs, and then I'll bring us back in April if we get a decent youth intake. Last year was kind of bang average. It was like 2.5 stars, but it is what it is. But boys, this is the team. Let's move over into season 2. So boys, we're at the end of season 2. Our youth intake and stuff was not great, and there was nobody really I wanted to sign in January. So we'll just jump over, see how we did in the league. Obviously, our goal for this is going to be pushing PSG as much as possible. It is going to take, I honestly believe this is going to take probably like a good 4 to 5 seasons. With this updated database, they have Kvaratskhelia, which makes them even stronger, but this is the whole point. It's a rebuild, it's a challenge, it's meant to be fun, and I love when things are difficult. So let's jump over, see how we did in the league. So we started things off with a fantastic win over Olympique Marseille. Badishebu getting the first goal. Balogun then made it 2. Minio then made it 2, or actually 3. And then to round things off in the 63rd minute, Balogun got himself a second goal. make it 4-0. Everything wasn't all sunshine and rainbows because PSG gave us our first defeat of the season, starting off with the scoring through Buckhola. Norday McKinley then made it 2, but like we say, the only way to come back from a defeat is to get a victory. Badishebu started 1-0 against Leon. Hassan Quadrago then made it 2, and to finish things off with a fantastic 3-0 win over Leon, Braylon Bolo got himself on the score sheet. And that meant after some fantastic ups and downs, we did end up finishing second. PSG absolutely ran away with it this year. They really did. As you can see, we played 34 games. We had 20 wins, which is good. 8 draws is still a little high. I would like to see this come down. Teams like Auxerre and Reims, Clermont, Lorient, and stuff like that, we should be beating them. Then we had 6 losses. Lens, we should be beating. Lille's a hard enough game. Nantes, I think we should be beating. Nice is a hard game. PSG, of course, beating us. Strasbourg, we should be beating. 41 goal difference, 68 points. PSG were on 92. So, like, they kind of did run away with it. After like a wee bit of a bad performance from them last year, they absolutely swept everybody aside. We have nobody in the top goal scorers. We do have Ko Henrique in there for average ratings. He's also in there for assists. He had 19 just in the league. And then we have Dennis Zakaria and Kerrer in there for yellow cards. They're first and second, boys. Then Meslier is in there for clean sheets. So it looks like we just didn't score as many goals. Obviously, for us to score as many goals as PSG, we don't have the firepower they have, but we seem to have done pretty well. Then, of course, Ko Henrique in there for player of the matches. So if we go up to the team stats, most points per game, look, PSG are always going to be that wee bit ahead. Like I said, they just have the money. They have a fantastic team in this updated database. But all in all, they scored 85. We scored 72. We're not that far away from them. Most shots for was us. So we are getting shots on. We're just not sticking them in the back of the net. And then fewest shots against, we're second, a long way behind PSG. They're at 148 shots against. We're 219. Most clean sheets is PSG with 23. We had 17. I'm very, very happy with this. Fewest conceded. They only conceded 11 goals all season. This is going to be a hard challenge. Like, if they're scoring 85 goals and only conceding, I think that's the lowest amount of goals I have ever seen a team concede in a database. Like, it really, really is. That's absolutely wild. Granted, I know we're in the French League, it's not the Premiership, but still only conceding 11 goals all season is pretty wild. We conceded 31. But boys, all in all, look, we did better than we did last year, but just PSG had a bit of a fantastic season. But let's jump over and see how we did in the Cup. So we start things off in the French Cup in the 9th round. We beat Bourg NB. I'm guessing the lower level team. We beat them 4-0. We then moved on to the 10th round where we played US Orleans. We beat them 6-1. In the 11th round, we manhandled Brest, beating them 3-1. Unfortunately, in the quarterfinals, this is where our cup run ended. We got absolutely obliterated by PSG. They beat us 4-0. Yes, we had a man sent off, but we were already 3-0 down by that point. So, look, getting to the quarterfinals is still pretty good, but like PSG are just they're that little step ahead of us. So then that takes us over into the Champions League. We started off in the league phase against Arsenal. We drew 1 each. I think a fantastic result. We then beat Stuttgart 2-0 away. They get 2 men sent off. Then beat Fenerbahce 3-0. Had an absolutely fantastic result against Inter. We beat them 3-0. If you remember, they beat us 5-0 last year in the Champions League. So this is a vast improvement. Then we had a 3-1 win over that team that I'm never going to try and pronounce. Had a fantastic 2-1 win over Napoli. Then in our final league phase match, we get beat 2-1 by Real Madrid. They were the only team to beat us in the league phase, because we ended up finishing in the top 8. We were 6th, which is absolutely fantastic. Look, like I said, as long as we stay in this top 24 and we make sure we just keep going through in the Champions League every year and just increasing our reputation and getting more money, look, this is all I want. But us finishing in the top 8, that's pretty good. And because we automatically qualified, we miss the knockouts and go straight to the round of 16, where we faced off against Sporting. We beat them 2-1 in the first leg. In the second leg, we drew with them 1 each, which put us through 3-2 in aggregate, which then took us to the quarterfinals, where we faced off against Olympique Marseille, a team we know very, very well. We drew with them 1 each. In the second leg, we ended up beating them 2-1. They scored an OG, but we also had a man sent off, which then that now takes us to the semi-finals of the Champions League, where we faced off against Arsenal. We ended up beating them 5-3 at the Emirates. So with us being 5-3 up from the first leg, we had our work cut out first. They started off the scoring through Odegaard. We hit back straight away through Hassan Quadrago. Gabriel equalised 2 minutes later, but we went through 6-5 in aggregate. Where we faced off in the Champions League final against Real Madrid, they started off the scoring through Vinicius Jr. On the 70th minute, they made it 2-0 to beat us in the final on the night. Look, boys, no matter what the scoreline would have been, to get to a Champions League final with Monaco in our second season, I have no negatives to say about this. Real Madrid beat us. That's perfectly fine. They have a vastly superior team. I think we did ourselves very, very proud. I think we also got ourselves a nice run. We get Sporting in the round of 16. We got Olympique Marseille in the quarterfinals. Arsenal, of course, a hard team. So the only teams that we had to beat that were really big coming out of the group stages was Arsenal and then obviously Real Madrid. But look, I'm so happy with this. So then take it over to the player performances this year. Meslier started 52 games, conceded 54. I'm relatively happy with that. 20 clean sheets. And Big Henrique having another fantastic season. Started 48 games, 6 goals, 28 assists, 19 of those in the league. A fantastic season once again. But his compatriot on the other side, Gedson Fernandez, the guy that we just bought, didn't really have just as good a season, but it's his first season, so no, I mean, I'm not going to judge him too harshly. 43 games played, 4 goals, 7 assists. Then young Bade Shibu, of course, I locked in for the season to get him some football. He's actually looking very, very good right now. Started 45 games, 9 goals. His partner beside him, Tanguy Nianzou, started 43 games, 5 goals, 5 assists. Of course, I did bring Mendy in to play in defensive midfield, but Zakaria seems to have played most of the games. He's upset. He just wants a new contract, don't worry. But he started 41 games, 4 goals, 3 assists. He's one I do want to keep around at the club. Yeah, he's 29, but look, he's not 50 years old. I don't need to sell him on. But like his physical and mental stats are absolutely insane. To have him in a DM role at 6'3" is exactly what I want. And then him and Mendy can just interchange. Because Mendy did also get a decent number of games. He started 12, 37 off the bench. But obviously the two players that I wanted to keep an eye on this season, one of them being Hassan Cuadrado, who we just brought in, looks absolutely fucking fantastic. He's playing a 3-star, has anywhere from 4 to 5-star potential, says he still could improve a lot. He's also up to 6'4", so he's an absolute unit. Played 52 games, 9 goals, 9 assists. Obviously, I would like to see us come up a bit, but he's playing as a centre midfield on support, so he's doing the job that I need him to do. Then obviously the young player that we locked in right beside him was Samuel Nibombe. I think that's how you pronounce his name. 54 games played, 4 goals, 3 assists. Look, is he going to become absolutely world class? I don't know, but like he's starting to look a lot. But I say by the time we give him maybe 2.5, maybe 3 years of football, we could have a very, very good player on our hands. Then young Ben Seguir played 47 games, 14 goals, 7 assists. Would like to see a wee bit of a better season from him. He only had a 6.84 for the whole season, but he's still very, very young. Then on the other side, young Balogun, 44 games played, 15 goals, 4 assists, so 19 goal involvements. Once again, a 6.8. I would like to see this come up a little bit. Of course, the big man up top, Brel Mbolo, 38 games played, did have a few niggles, so he didn't play every game. 14 goals, 9 assists. I would once again like to see the goals come up a little bit, but look, all in all, no matter what happened with the team, we played absolutely fucking fantastic. Finished second in the league, made it to the quarterfinals of the cup, and made it to a Champions League final. But the downside of this is, the board has given us 6.9 million. We came second in the league and made it to a Champions League final, and they haven't even given us 7 million. So if we want to bring some people in, we're gonna need to sell some people. But honestly, I'm pretty happy with the team. But there is a few players that are have interest coming in from Premiership clubs and from the Saudi League. So things may change in the summer. But all in all, boys, I'm very, very happy where we are. This team, I think, is very, very good. I'm interested to see how good Bombay and Hassan Cuadrado can both become. And the same with Bade Shibu, they're still very, very young. Even Ben Seguir, still a very, very young player. But all in all, boys, look, an amazing season. I want to win the league. I really, really want to win the league with Monaco. It's just, I know it's going to be difficult with how good PSG's team is. But this is why we're doing this. Because it's a hard challenge and it's going to be fun. But boys, that is the end of Season 2. Let's jump over into Season 3. So boys, moving over into Season 3. Honestly, there was not much about the team I overly wanted to change. Just a few tweaks here and there. But we had a few people leave the club, so we had to replace those players. And I think the players that we've brought in, I think we may have actually made the team a lot better. So one of the first people out the door was Florian Barragán. He went to Valencia. Don't understand why he would want to go to Valencia instead of staying here. Look, who knows at this point? Football Manager's a weird game. But it starts off at 32.5 million, working its way up to 50 million. I don't know where Valencia got 50 million from, but I'm not complaining. Look, he's a player I didn't overly want to lose. He's still only 25 years old, but I'm not going to keep players as a team that don't want to be here. And the next one out the door was Dennis Zakaria. This is one, he wanted a new contract. It was actually extortionate wages, like it was crazy wages. We couldn't afford it. He only had a year left on his deal, so I sold him on to Sporting. Look, it wasn't great money, 28 million. I would have liked a little bit more, but like I said, He's going to be 30 this year. He only a year left on his deal. So I think still pretty decent money. But the big one we ended up losing, the one I did not want to lose, was Meslier. He's away to Man City. Look, when the Premiership comes calling, nobody really ever says no. It's the same Society League. And the worst part is I don't think we really got a lot of money for him. Yeah, it's 25 million up front, working his way up to 35 million. We ended up making like 10 million in profit. But he's only 26 years old. He's French. I wanted to keep him at the club. But obviously, Man City wanted him. I don't even know if he's going to be their first choice goalkeeper. I actually went and had a look at their team. Yeah, he is going to be first choice keeper. So I'm guessing Ederson is either out of contract very, very soon. Not really, or they just want to replace him. In the next one out the door was Braylon Bolo. He also wanted a new contract. He wanted insane money. I think it was like £140,000 a week, and I wasn't going to give him that. Honestly, he's 30 years old this year. He's not going to improve, and honestly, we just didn't really already have the cash, so I didn't give him the contract. So we sold him on. He's away to Olympic Marseille for a total of 20 million. Look, all in all, would have liked a wee bit more money for him. He's a pretty decent player, but I think the players we brought in, we improved the team. In the last one out the door was Mohamed Salisu. This is one, he wants to play every single game. I get it, he's 27 years old. I can't guarantee that he... Look, I've got Badi Shebu and Tangani Anzu as our two starting centre backs. He's second fiddle. He doesn't want to be second fiddle, so we sold him on to Olympic Lyon for a total of 10.2 million. Look, it's not a lot of money, but he's, let's be honest, he's not unreal. I would have liked about 15 million. All in all, in this window, we made a total of 115 million. So obviously, first things first, we were going to need a keeper. And yeah, our options were kind of limited. Obviously, I was trying to look around for French keepers. I was looking at Restes. They wanted like 60 odd million. There's a couple of other French keepers around, but once again, they just wanted a ton of money. Or I honestly just believed they weren't good enough. So when I got Nicholas Heidel, look, he's everything you need from a keeper. His distribution's good, his aerial shot stopping, communication's solid, and we only had to pay a total of 8.5 million. Look, I don't need our keeper to be super world class like Edison. I just need him to be pretty solid, can hold the back line and do well with the ball. Then obviously with Braylon Bolo out the door, we were going to need our striker, so I went and got Hugo Ekitike. Costs a total of 24 million, which I think all in all is actually a pretty solid deal. One, he's only 24 years old, 6'2", physical stats are insane. He can play with both feet, good mentality, super consistent. He's also French. And with Balogun going out the door, we needed someone to play as another inside forward beside Ben Seguir. So I went and got Jean Bonnet. We did actually have to pay, I wouldn't say a decent amount of money, because he had already moved to Crystal Palace, and BAM players from the Premiership can get a little expensive. Honestly, I feel like 32 million's not a ton of cash. They paid 15 for him. I would have liked to get him when he was worth 15 million. Look, I think 32 million's pretty solid. 6'2", French, only 22 years old, a very, very explosive, got a good mentality, enjoys the big games, works hard, and also he's already valued at 128 million. But our big signing was Kevin Thuram. He was upset he's spaghetti at Juventus, wanted to go to another club. I went to his agent, was like, would he be interested in signing? He was like, yes. Did have to pay a decent amount of money for him. 35 million, working its way up to 40, but like I said, we are up to 50 million, but we did make a total of 116 million this window, so I splashed a wee bit of cash, making the team better. He's also 6'4", French, he's only 25, he is very, very good all round. It was him up between him and Mane Kone, but Kone didn't want to go, so I was happy to get any of the two of them, either Thuram or Kone, and Thuram was the one that was interested. Like I said, 50 million is a lot of money, but he's going to be around in the team for a long time. So if you now go and look at the team, it's looking a little beefier. Heidel, Enrique, Badishebu, Nianzu, Fernandez, want to see him have a wee bit of a better season this season. But in the middle of the park, Thuram, Asanka Drago, and Nabombe, dude, 6'4", 6'4", 6'6". Our midfield is absolute units. Bonnie out on the left-hand side, Ben Seguir. I'm going to move him out to this side because Bonnie is very one-footed, where Ben Seguir can play with both feet, so I'm going to put him out this side. And then Ekitike up top. All in all, our team is looking very, very good. I'm interested to see who the assistant manager would put on. So this is how the assistant manager sets him out. Honestly, pretty similar. He takes Badishebu out, he takes Fernandez out and puts him into the middle of the park. Ben Seguir, Minamino, I don't know what his love for Minamino is. I would definitely have Bonnie in here. So for the season, I feel like I'm going to have to actually lock a few players in. I don't feel like I have to lock Keflin Thuram in here. I feel like he'll be okay and he'll be the one that starts as our defensive midfielder. But I am going to have to lock in Badishebu, Fernandez, Asan Quadrago, and Mbombe and Bonnie. But apart from that, I'm very, very happy. But boys, this is the team pushing over into season 3. Look, my goal once again just keep pushing PSG. We were a long way behind them last year. What was it, like 20 plus points? I want us to start trying to close that gap. And the only way we can do that is just keep improving the team. But like I said, the only way we can do that is apparently selling players, because the board's just not giving us any money. They give us what, 6.7 million. I had to go and sell players to bring good players in, but I think we have beefed the team up very, very well. But boys, like I said, I'll bring you back in January if there's anybody good for approach signs, and I'll bring you back in April 1st if the intake is actually decent. It's been horrendous the last 2 years, so look, it is what it is. But boys, this is the team for season 3. Let's jump into it. So boys, we're at the end of season 3. Look, I think the transfers that we made at the start of this season will help the team out a lot. People like Thuram just brings in a lot of experience for a young player, and also our midfield is absolutely massive. 6'3", 6'4", 6'6". We have a lot of physicality in our team, so I expect our team this season to do a little bit better. I want to push PSG a little closer. They were like, what, 20 points ahead of us last season, so I would like to start closing that gap every year. But let's jump over, see how we did in the league. So we started things off with a fantastic win over Olympique Lyon. In the 80th minute, we scored to make it 1-0. They hit back in the 90th minute. We weren't done there. In the 93rd minute, we scored a winner from Hassan Quadrago to win the match 2-1. And we also had a fantastic win over PSG. We started off the scoring through our young Wonderkid, Mbombe. I always mess his name up. Big Ekatike made it 2-0. They got one back 3 minutes later, but we had already won the match 2-1 on the night. Then right at the end of the season, we had a fantastic win over Nice. We started off the scoring through Ekatike. 20 minutes later, they got one back with some terrible defending from us. Then our left back, Henrique, scored an absolute worldie to put us 2-1 up. But he wasn't done there. He got himself another goal to make it 3. Then in the 80th minute, Big Ekatike got himself another goal for us to win 4-1. Which means, with all those wins, he fucking did it, boys. 3 seasons. Look, you know I'm always optimistic. I really, really am. But I'm also, look, I try to be a little realistic sometimes too. I did not think we would have won the league. I honestly thought it would have took us 4, maybe 5 seasons for our young players to come up. I'm so happy with this. Look, this is the hard part about chasing PSG. It's just, they have such a fucking good team. You just don't know if you can catch them at any point. I'm very, very happy with this. We have a lot of players in the goals and the average range, which means our team played very, very well. But I think we just bought the right players in the summer to just fit the system that we're playing. Because if you look over here, we played 34 games. We had 31 wins, 2 draws, and we only had 1 loss to Olympique Lyon. The heartbreaking thing about our only loss, it was right here at the end of the season. We had a 2-0 defeat to Olympique Lyon. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm still very, very happy with. Only losing 1 game all season. I would have loved to have went undefeated all season. But look, it is what it is. But look at this. For player wins, look at the goals. Ekatike up there with 24 as the top goal scorer. Jan Bonny in there behind him with 16. The surprising one here is Hassan Quadrago with 16 from the centre midfield on support. Then the average ratings, Enrique looks like he had an absolute banger of a season. Fernandez also played well. He was one, like I said, we got him last year. Didn't really have a great season, but if it's the first couple of seasons for a player, I usually like to give him a chance. But he's in there for average ratings. Hassan Quadrago is in there for average ratings. Then if you look over at assists, Enrique and Fernandez, both of our fullbacks, both have 17 assists. We have nobody in the yellow cards, but then we have Hadal in there. He's only 1 clean sheet away from being tied with Donnarumma, which is absolutely fantastic. And then Henrique is in there for player of the matches. We also have a 78 goal difference, which means I think we just scored a lot of goals and didn't concede a lot. So if we go up to the team stats, most points per game is actually us. We're a wee bit ahead of PSG. Most goals, we had 99. I would love to have broke the 100 goals. But look, if we're ahead of PSG, that's all that we need. Most shots for was us by 200, and then fewer shots against was us once again. Then we have the most clean sheets in the league with 17, and the fewest conceded with 21. Look, PSG had a wee bit of a fall off from where they had last year, because like they only conceded what, 11 goals last year, so they've leaked double that amount this year. Look, I'm not going to complain. If it means we can win the league, this is exactly what I want. Look, I am so happy that we got this in the bag. I wanted to make sure in this rebuild that I won the league at some point, because like I said, PSG have a disgusting team. Boys, that is the league out of the way. Let's see how we did in the cup. So we started things off in the French Comp 9th round. We played that team, and well, that's technically up there. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. We beat them 7-0. Then that took us all to the 10th round where we faced off against Avalanches and we beat them 6-0. That's what, 13 goals in 2 games, granted against smaller teams. But you know yourself, sometimes the smaller teams can be the teams that can beat you. But unfortunately, in the 11th round, this is where the fun ended. We ended up getting put out on penalties by Nice. I'm not going to lie, I'm actually very, very disappointed with this. Ekatike and Magnus Aklich, the penalties missed for us. Ekatike scored. Do you expect us to go through all the time in the cup? No, but like, come on, we should be getting further in the 11th round. But we did face off against a good team in the league, and like, it is what it is. It's the same last year. We got PSG in the quarterfinals. It is what it is. I'm not gonna lie, I am disappointed about this. That's enough crying tears for the French Cup. This moves us over now into the Champions League phase. We started off against Shakhtar, we beat them 1-0. We then had a 1-1 draw against Man United at Old Trafford. Then unfortunately got beat 2-1 by Atletico Madrid. We bounced back in our next match, winning 2-1 against that team. Can try and pronounce it. Then we had a 1-1 draw against Ajax. This is a match I feel like we should be winning. They also had a man sent off just after halftime. This should have been 3 points. But we then went on to have a nice 2-0 win away to Atalanta. We then went on to smash Rangers 6-0 at Ibrox. So that means this year in the Champions League, we just finished outside. Look, I'm still very, very happy. Like I said, as long as we qualify, that is all I'm happy with. Obviously, finishing up here last year was absolutely fantastic. And we made it the whole way to the final. We had a really, really good season. Look, we're in and around Barcelona, Liverpool, and Man United. I'm very, very happy with this. Staying in this top 8 every year is very, very difficult. But that is us out of the Champions League phase, which means we had to move on to the knockouts, where we faced off against a very, very good Atletico Madrid team. They were one of the teams that beat us in the league phase. We beat them 2-1 at their ground. Then in the second leg, when we were at home, we beat them 2-0. So we went through 4-1 in aggregate, which takes us to the round of 16, where of course we faced off against PSG because, you know, why not? We've already played them. We started off the scoring through Bonnie. They hit back in the 88th minute to make it 1-1 on the night through João Neves. So in the second leg, we had our work cut out for us. They actually started off the scoring through left back Nuno Mendes. We hit back 20 minutes later through Minamino to make it 1-1 to take it the extra time. In the 103rd minute, they started off the scoring in extra time through Barcola. In the 109th minute through Jota, they put us out 4-2. I'm not going to lie, I'm disappointed because we took them the whole... Look, honestly, taking PSG, the 2 draws, 1-1 at our ground, 1-1 at their ground, and then going the extra time. Look, it's not a bad result. It's really, really not. But with us doing so well in the league, I kind of wanted us to push on a wee bit. And look, I think if we got to the quarterfinals, I'd have been very, very happy. Like, if you're getting to the quarterfinals in and around there every year, you've cemented yourself as a really, really good Champions League team. But like I said, it's PSG. They have a ridiculous team. We know this from playing through against them in the league every single year. I would have liked to make it to the quarterfinals, but all in all, I'm very, very happy with this season. Because if you go in and look at the player stats, Heidel started 43 games. He did get a wee bit of a knock and didn't play a couple of games, but he only conceded 28 and had 21 clean sheets. So a fantastic season from the defense and from Heidel. Henrique also had another absolutely fantastic season. 25 games started. I know he got a wee injury. He did actually get an injury that kept him out for a couple of months. I've seen that at Christmas. Yeah, he got a major injury for 4 months. He damaged his Achilles tendon. But even at that, dude, if you look at this, right, he played 25 games, 6 goals, 8 assists. That is 24 goal involvements in 25 games, which is absolutely wild. Then his buddy on the other side, Fernandez, started 43 games, 1 goal, 22 assists. Once again, like I said, from last year, I wanted him to step up and give a wee bit more of a performance, and he did that this season. Our young centre back, Badeshabi, 47 games played, 7 goals, 1 assist, and an over 7 rating for the season. His centre back partner, Big Tanguy Nianzou, 46 games played, 1 goal, also an over 7 rating. Big Keflin Thuram, like I said, the guy that I wanted to play as our defensive midfielder and support. I wanted him to be our sort of all-round. Look, he's very, very good all-round, and I wanted him to be like our type of anchor player that just kind of sits in the front of the defense and just controls the play. He started 41 games, 4 goals, 11 assists, and a 7.3 for the season. I also forgot to show you is that Henrique is also wanted by the Saudi League, so yeah, we may end up losing him in the summer, because when the Saudi League comes knocking, boys, you know, nobody says no. And I think one of the young players I'm very, very happy to see playing amazing is Hassan Quadrago. Don't worry, he's only upset because he wants a new contract. 49 games played, 19 goals, 8 assists, and a 7.2 from centre midfield on support. And the person I was very, very interested to see how he developed this year is Samuel in the Bombay. I don't know why his name always messes me up. I think it's the NIB part that just throws me off every time. But like I said, he was one of the ones I locked in, played 43 games, 6 goals, 5 assists. Still not playing at a high level yet, which is a little interesting because he's 19 years old. He has all this potential, but just he doesn't seem to be massively developing. But some players take a bit longer to develop than others. Some players wait till they're like 21, 22. But he's one I definitely want to keep locking in every season and just get him some football and to see how he progresses. And look, it's not holding the team back, him playing. We're playing very, very well. And then, of course, young Wilfred Bonny only just started playing this season. 46 games played, 22 goals, 9 assists, and an over 7 rating for the season. He is developing very, very well. Then his compatriot on the other side, young Ben Seguir, 47 games played, 19 goals, 9 assists. Don't worry, he just wants a new contract as well on an over 7 rating. He's one, doesn't really seem to be overly developing. It says he could still improve, but I don't think he's going to get much better than this. So Ben Seguir may be one that we may look to kind of replace. I'm happy to keep him around as a squad player. I don't think he's going to develop any more than this. I don't know. We'll kind of reevaluate this in the summer. Then, of course, the big man up top, Ekitike, played 49 games, 33 goals, 8 assists, and a 7.1 for the season. But boys, I'm very, very happy with how we performed. Look, to get in the league in the bag is the most important thing for me. Look, we've went to a Champions League final. I'm very, very happy where we are. Obviously, like I said, would have wanted to get the quarterfinals, but look, it is what it is. The rest of the team, I'm honestly very, very happy with. If we do lose Cal, Enrique, and Ben Seguir, I end up replacing. Look, if Kay goes to the Saudi League, it is what it is. We know we're going to get good money for him. And then I may look to replace Ben Seguir. I don't feel like he's progressing in this database the way I want him to. And just, I'm happy to have him around as a squad player. He's still going to get a lot of football. Don't worry, because like we play a lot of games. I don't know how much money we have. 21 million. It's a lot. Look, it's not amazing, but it's a lot better than what it was last year at 6.7 million. And like I said, if we sell Enrique to the Saudi League, look, I would like to keep him, but if they give us an absolutely ridiculous offer, we can't really overly say no. But I think just those few transfers that we brought in and just switched the team up a little bit has done the team very, very well. But boys, that's enough messing about. That is season 3 over and done with. Very, very happy with it. Let's jump over into season 4. So boys, moving over into season 4, obviously there's not a lot with the team that I overly want to change. I think we did very, very well last year. Once again, like I said, would like to got to the quarterfinals in the Champions League, but it is what it is. We only lost kind of really one player, and it's someone we kind of knew might leave. And it was big Seo Henrique, of course, went to the Saudi League, as we kind of guessed as much, for a total of 50 million up front, working its way up to 75 million. Look, I think for a player that's going to be 30 this year, and I think is a good deal, even though, look, I didn't want to sell him. They come in and made an offer. It was, God, what was it? 48. I said no. He said nothing. They came back with 52. Then he got upset. He spaghetti, and then we ended up having to work a deal. Honestly, I kind of wanted to keep him. He played so fucking well last year. I didn't want to get rid of him. But look, the man's on £625,000 a week. I don't blame him for leaving. But obviously, we had to then go and replace him. So I went and got Ridvan Yilmaz. Plays for Rangers, but he had actually went to Benfica. So we ended up bringing him in for a total of 32 million. Look, I think honestly this is a really, really good deal. We brought in a 32 million pound player. He's only 26 years old as well, and he's honestly about just as good as Enrique is, and he's younger. Hopefully he can perform as well as Enrique did. Look, good crossing, good dribbling, missing first touch, mental stats are good, physical stats are good, and I think for the price that we got him for, a very, very good replacement. I was looking at Gael Gutierrez, but they wanted like 96 million, and like, even though, yeah, fair enough, we may have had the money and we probably could have done it, I didn't really want to spend that much money because I'm still trying to clear the debt at the club, so I don't want to just spend all our cash. But I did go and spend 4.6 million on some young players. Well, I spent 4.6 million on this player. I brought in some young players. This guy, 17 years old. He's Italian, a good DM. Look, strong on one foot, very strong with the other foot. Passing is fucking 17. Technique is 16. Mental stats are good. He's got good bravery, good aggression. But I have loaned him out for the season to Angers. I don't think he's going to get into the first team. I want to get him some football. So I'm probably going to loan him out for a couple of seasons and just see how he progresses. But I think for 4.6 million, a really, really good player. He has some fantastic mental stats for a 17-year-old. So then the next one that I brought in was Mohamed Mustafa. This costs us a total of about 11 million. There's like a whole debacle with this. He was on my short list. I put in 4.5 million. And then it basically went to like a whole fucking bidding war. PSG come in, Real Madrid come in, AC Milan come in, Man United come in. It went from 4.6 million up to 11 million. I was the only one that went over 10 million. I really, really wanted to get this kid in the door. I would have loved to get him for 4.6 million, but unfortunately we ended up, like I said, in a bidding war, and it worked its way up to 11. Look, even at 11 million, He's already valued at 93 to 107 million, but he's one I may loan out for the season. I don't know how much football he's going to get at the club, and I don't want to bring him in at 18 years old and just waste him for a couple seasons and not get him any football, so I may loan him out for the season. The final person that I brought in, this is on a season loan, is Matthias Tell. Look, with Ben Seguir being the only person to play us on the right-hand side, we need a wee bit more squad depth, so I've brought Tell in. Tell can also play left on inside forward, right on the inside forward, and he can play up top, so it's going to give us a wee bit more versatility, but it's mostly to fight with Ben Seguir and maybe try and push him to play a little bit better. So with everybody in the door and everybody out the door is what the team looks like for this season. The only real changes is obviously Yilmaz is going to come into the middle of the park. Everybody else stays exactly the same. I don't think we need to change the team too much. Arsenal did try to come in and steal Fernandes from us. They offered like 40 million. He got upset a couple of weeks later. He was happy to stay at the club, so we're good that way. I'm interested to see what the assistant manager is going to change it to, though. Honestly, that's not that many changes. The only thing he's changed is put Thuram in the midfield instead of that and put Bombay back into the middle of the park. He's one I do want to try and get a wee bit more football. I think he's a wee bit of a late bloomer, but like, he has the potential. You can clearly see he still has the potential, because for the 2 seasons he's been in the team, his star rating has not changed. So look, if we can get him to 4-star and he's twice as good as this, even 3.5, look, our midfield is absolutely massive. 6'3", 6'4", 6'6". I kind of want to keep that physicality in the middle park. And Batashebu's 6'5", Nianzu's 6'4". So like, we do have a big team. But honestly, boys, this is the team I'm very, very happy with. Oh, I did bring in one other player. Said Nagy. I completely forgot about this young guy. So we brought him in for a total of 9 million from Zamalek. Don't know where they're from, boys. I'm not even going to try. It might be in the Egyptian League. I'm not too sure. Another one just brought in. Look, he has good. This is the thing. He's great finishing. Good first touch, his technique is good, but he's also got 17 teamwork and 16 work rate. Decision making's good, determination's good, mental stats are solid, and like I said, we had a ton of cash left over, and I want to start trying to bring some young players through. He's another one. I put in the offer of 2.3 million. We ended up on a wee bit of a bidding war, and it went up a little bit, but at the end of the day, we got him into our team, and that's all counts. But like I said, boys, this is going to be the team for season 4. Nothing really overly changed. I'm interested to see how good Nabombe plays this year, and then obviously how good Yilmaz plays in his first season. Going to give him a wee bit of a bye ball. It's his first year at the club, but obviously if there's anybody good in January, then I'm going to bring you back for approach of signs, and then I will bring us back in April. At some point through this fucking rebuild, we will get a good youth intake. It was a 1.5 stars last year. It was absolutely horrendous, but boys, that's enough messing about. Let's go play season 4. So boys, we're at the end of season 4. Look, all I wanted to do, keep going forward, is just, like I said, just keep pushing PSG. I don't expect us to try and win the league every year from here on out. We have a very, very good team. PSG, once again, their money just keep getting better and better and better. They have bought a bunch of really good players as well. Also, they have some fantastic players in their youth academy. I may have tried to buy them, but they don't want to leave PSG and come to us. So, like I said, just keep going forward. I want to get at least to the quarterfinals of the Champions League this year. I feel like last year, I wouldn't say a disappointment. Look, we got to the knockout round of 16. Yes, I know most people will be happy, but I want to get to the quarterfinals. So let's jump over, see how we did in the league first. So we started things off with a fantastic 1-0 win over Olympique Marseille. Keller. We then beat Olympique Lyon 1-0 with a fantastic goal from Matthias Tell. But then 2 games later, PSG brought us back down to earth, beating us 2-0. They start off the scoring through Warren Ziamari. Young João Neves, they made it 2-0 on the night. But even with PSG beating us, we won the league 2 years in a row, boys. And this year, we did very, very well. If you look up here, we played 34 games. We won 32. We drew 0 games. Our only 2 defeats. Yeah, we got slapped about at the start of the season 7-2 by PSG. They did beat us in both games, so it just shows you they didn't have a fantastic season if they ended up beating us twice, still couldn't catch us. We're on 96 points. They're on 81. I think us having 0 draws is the main reason why we were so far ahead, but hey, I'm going to take it. Then if you look over at the player stats, Ekitike in there with 18 goals. He's right in behind Vitinha and Kvaratskhelia. I'd say he only being 1 goal in behind a player as good as this. That's not bad at all. Ekitike has been a fantastic purchase for us. Average ratings. Vitinha for Brest has done absolutely fantastic. Dembele, and then we have Fernandes in there for average ratings. Fernandes, Kelleher, and also Tell have been fantastic. Look at their assists. Then we have Fernandes and Yilmaz in there for yellow cards. Look, like I say, if you're going to get yellow cards on my team, at least be first. They're number 1 and number 2. But then Hadel has got 19 clean sheets. Looks like we did very, very well defensively this year. Bonnie also in there for player of the matches if you go up to the team stats. Most points per game is us by a decent amount, actually, and we broke over 100 goals. This is the main thing. It looks like we didn't concede a lot of goals, but we did score quite a lot. 109. PSG only hit 87 with the players that they have. Most shots for was us by 60, which is pretty solid. Few shots against PSG seem to have had a wee bit more better defensively than we did. Top clean sheets is us and PSG both on 19. Fewest conceded 20, we conceded 23. Look, all in all, I'm very, very happy with this. If we only concede 23 goals, score 109, I'm very, very happy with that. But boys, 2 years in a row, this is what I wanted. Look, like I said, I don't expect us to win the league every year. PSG are very, very competitive, but they seem to be in a wee bit of a slump, but we can't. We have to take some credit for this too. Us having 0 draws all season and only 2 defeats is the reason why we won the league. But boys, that's enough excitement about that. Let's go and see how we did in the cup. So we start things off in the French Cup in the 9th round. We beat Monaco 4-1. We then got PSG in the 10th round of the cup, but it was our turn to go through this time. We beat them 3-1. Then in the 11th round, we played Montpellier. We beat them 3-2 in a very close game. Then in the quarterfinals, we went on to play Lens and we beat them 3-0, which then moved us on to the semi-finals of the cup where we played Olympique Marseille. We beat them 5-4 in a very, very close game. So this took us to the final of the French Cup, where we faced off against Toulouse. We ended up winning this 1-0 with a 1 goal from Yilmaz. Boys, I don't care if we win 1-0 or we have to beat them 6-5. As long as we win, that is all counts for me. So that is the league in the bag. And finally, after 4 years, we actually won the fucking cup. But how do we do in the Champions League? I want us to get past the quarterfinals. So we start things off on the league phase against Spurs. We get beat 1-0. We then drew 1 each with Bayern. So Spurs and Bayern Munich in our first 2 games. Then we had a nice 4-0 win over Lyon. Then a 4-1 win over AEK. Unfortunately, then got beat 1-0 by Benfica. I also just noticed they have... This is my favorite Wonderkid in the game. It really, really is. Esposito, absolutely ridiculous. If I could buy him every single rebuild and people didn't get bored of it, I would buy him every single rebuild. The kid is a fucking goal machine. If you're looking at a striker that's really, really cheap, I highly, highly recommend getting him. He's also 6'3", ridiculous in the air, and has great finishing. And at the start of the game, he's only like 19. They also only paid a total of 8.7 million for him. We then had a very exciting 0-0 draw against Leipzig. Then a 1 each draw away to Sporting. This is, look, I love Sporting. Sporting have a very, very good place in my heart. But this is a game we should be winning. And then in our final league phase match, we beat Anderlecht 2-1. So a bit of an up and down, a few draws, a few defeats, and a few wins. And with all that, we did still qualify, of course. Look, we finished 15th. Ideally not fantastic, but it doesn't mean, look, if you finish in the top 8, it means you're automatically going to win the Champions League. I've won the Champions League sometimes by being down on like 20th before. As long as we qualify and get through the next round, that is all that counts. So that means that takes us to the knockouts, where we faced off against Borussia Dortmund. We beat them 3-1 in the first match. Then in the second leg, we absolutely obliterated them 4-1 to go through 7-2 in aggregate to the round of 16, where we faced off against my team, Man United. We beat them 1-0 in the first match. In the second match at Old Trafford, we beat them 1-0 again. So to score 2 goals against Man United and concede nothing, I'm very, very happy with this, which takes us to the quarterfinals, where we faced off against Real Madrid and they absolutely obliterated us in the first match 4-1, which means in the second leg we had our work cut out from us for getting absolutely obliterated in the first match. We started off the scoring through Mustafa, our new Wonderkid. Herher then made it 2-0 to us, and then Mendy made it 3. Of course, they hit back straight away through Vinicius Jr., which then took us to extra time where we scored through young Mustafa. And to finish things off, to win 5-1 on the night, going through 6-5, our new Wonderkid, Nagy, got the goal to put us through, which then took us to the Champions League semi-finals where we faced off against Bayern Munich, and yeah, they obliterated us 3-1 in the first leg. So once again, going into the second leg, we had our work cut out for us, but they started off the scoring. Then just before halftime, they added a second. We hit back straight away through their player, Matthias Tell. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough, and we went out 5-2. Well, don't get me wrong, this is very, very disappointing. Look, it's once again, we seem to be terrible in the first leg and then kind of come back a little bit in the second leg, but like, they were just too much for us. Honestly, Bayern were just the better team, but the fact that we get beat 4-1 by Real Madrid and then smashed them 5-1 in the second leg, that is just the icing on the cake. Look, we won the league, we won the cup, made it to semi-finals of a Champions League. There is nothing about this season that I can complain about. An absolutely fantastic year. So then moving over into the player ratings, Hadel started 57 games, conceded 51, a little more than last year, but we did have a few injuries. Badishabu was out for a decent amount of time of the season, but then he also had 25 clean sheets. Yilmaz started 43 games, 6 goals, 10 assists. But look, it was his first season. I'm not going to go on his back. I'd like to give my players at least a season or a season and a half, see how they get on. Look, all in all, a decent enough season. Just to let you know, he's also wanted by the Saudi League, so I'm hoping we don't lose another left back in the summer. Then his partner on the other side, Fernandez, played 48 games, 5 goals, 15 assists, so 20 goal involvements for a fullback. Pretty happy with this. And of course, our young centre back, also now the captain of the club, Badishabu, started 47 games, 1 goal, 5 assists. He got injured at the end of the season. Look, if he was around and playing, the games against Bayern may have went a little different. And of course, the big man in beside him, Tanguy Nianzou, started 49 games, 5 goals, 5 assists. A lot of our team, touch wood, seems to be able to stay fit. So in January, I also forgot to show you this. I also went and bought Nathan Zizi. He was on my short list. A bunch of clubs went in, offered for him. I went in. A total of 8 million, I think, is an absolute steal because we needed, as one position at centre back, we probably didn't really have a lot of players. He started 7 games, 15 off the bench, 0 goals, 1 assist. But like I said, he's happy to be a squad player. And of course, big Thuram in the middle of the park, 44 games, 6 goals, 7 assists. Hassan Quadrago, once again, another season where he played very, very well. 49 games, 16 goals, 8 assists. You got to remember he's playing from centre midfield on support and an over 7 rating. He also looks absolutely fantastic and he's valued at 128 million. Not bad for a guy that we paid 12 million for. But then, of course, the guy in beside him, the one I wanted to see how well he would actually progress, is Samuel Ndabombe. Started 50 games, 7 goals, and 11 assists, so 19 goal involvements in 50 games. Once again, he does have green arrows going up, but he's just taking a wee bit longer to sort of progress. But I'm happy enough with that. Look, it doesn't seem to be holding the team back, me putting them in there. Him and Hassan Quadrago and Thuram in the middle of the park have been absolutely fantastic. But give it probably like a season or so. We'll probably see by the end of next season, kind of see how he gets on. But like, he is progressing. Then out on the left hand side, Wilfred Bonny played 51 games, 24 goals and 12 assists. So he had a total of 36 goal involvements of 51 games. This is the type of season I want them to have. So as our inside forward on the right hand side, I actually ended up starting, I locked Mohamed Mustafa in January just to give him some games. He had like 17 substitute appearances off the bench, so I started him in January. So he started 30 games, 12 goals, 2 assists, and he did score some very, very important games, especially against Real Madrid. He got 2 goals to help us take the extra time, and he looks fucking fantastic. The only thing I'm working on is his dribbling. Dominic says dribbling is only 10, and if he's inside forward, look, I don't need this to be 16, 17, 18. If we can get this to like 13, maybe push it to 14 would be absolutely fantastic. We'll just have to see how well develops, but he's already unreal. And like I said, for a kid that we only paid 11 million for, he fixes our problem on that right hand side. Because like I said, Ben Sakir is just not progressing anymore. Matthias Tell was only in on loan. So this could probably more than likely fix our inside forward on the right hand side issue. Then of course, big Hugo Ekitike up top, 31 games played, 22 goals and 6 assists. He did have a few injuries. That's why he only played a total of 31 games instead of 50 plus. This is unfortunate because like I want him to be in the team because he's a very big threat in the box. But all in all, boys, an absolute banger of a season. Like I said, won the league, won the cup, Champions League semi-finals. I'm very, very happy about it. Like I said, the only problem is we may lose Yilmaz because the Saudi League is in there. Look, if they come in, I don't want to lose them, but if they keep coming in with ridiculous offers for players, like I said, we're still trying to clear the finances of the club. If you go to debts and loans, it's still looking a little rough over here. We've still got 225 million remaining, and I would like to clear this before I leave the club. Granted, it's going to be very, very difficult. We've got the club in a very, very good spot. We're running for the league all the time. We're busy, always in the Champions League and doing pretty well. So like we've put the club in a good spot. But if we lose Yilmaz, we may need new left back. I do have somebody in mind, but his price kind of shot up. And it was this young guy, Eduardo Carranca. So he was valued at about 12.5 million. I offered 15. He had no interest in coming to the club because at this point he was only like 16 years old. And then I was like, oh, sweet, we'll go back on for him in the summer. Yeah, they give him a new contract and he's got a 78 million buyer clause. Look, if this was 30, 40 million, I'd probably think about it because he's explosive, tackling is fantastic, his technique is fantastic. He's also got amazing crossing. He's only 17. He has also a good mentality. He can play with both feet. His physical stats are very, very good. But I don't know if I would pay 78 million for him. But I say that, I don't know how much money we're going to get for Yilmaz. If we get about 80 million for Yilmaz, I'm not going to lie, I would be tempted to go and buy that kid. Because if he's only 17, he's going to be around for the next, what, over 10 years. So yes, while it will be a lot of money, it will be a good long-term investment. But boys, that's enough rambling. That is season 4 over with. I think we did absolutely fantastic. Let's jump into season 5. Boys, moving over into season 5. Honestly, there's not really overly a lot I want to do with the team. I think I'm very, very happy where the squad is. I'm probably going to bring in a few young players. Obviously, we're going to have players retiring at some point, so I'm going to spend a little bit of money on probably some wonder kids, and that's about it. But all in all, we had a few transfers. Let's show you that first. So one of the first ones out the door was Yilmaz. Look, we knew this when the Saudi League comes knocking. It's crazy that we've lost both of our left backs to the Saudi League, but look, it is what it is. We bought him for 32 million, sold him on for 56 million. They just wouldn't give us any other deal. I always try to go a wee bit lower for initial money up front and then try and get more overall. They were just no. They just give us 56 million straight out. But all in all, look, we doubled the money we paid for him. One of the people that I actually brought in from the approach of signs last year was Unai Hernandez. This is more just for a little bit of squad depth. Look, he's happy to play as a fringe player, and just we need a wee bit more squad depth. People get injured or suspended, we're going to lose people. So we need people to fill out the squad, boys. So then obviously with Yilmaz going out the door, we needed a left back. There was a few people I was kind of looking at. Obviously, I want to bring someone young that we can sort of mold and is a wee bit exciting. So I went and got this guy, Oscar Rosson. Cost a total of 20.5 million. He had a buy clause. They wouldn't take anything less. But look, his physical stats are absolutely insane. He's only 18 years old, Argentinian. He can play with both feet. Good mentality, super consistent. 18 agility, 16 balance, 16 pace, 16 stamina. He's also 6 foot, which is going to keep up with the physicality of our team. Also got good dribbling, good tackling, good technique. And like I said, he's only 18 years old. We can mold him a little bit. I'm probably going to work on his passing. His passing's only 9, his vision is only 10. So they're the things I'm probably going to work on. His physical stats, when he gets to like 21, 22, is going to be an absolute unit of a player. But I think for 20 million is a really good replacement. So then another player I brought in, once again, this is going to be for a wee bit of squad depth. As you can see, he can still improve a lot. If he gets another star better than this, honestly, I think he's very, very good. But he's going to be a squad player, is Samuel Marcos. We paid a total of 5.5 million for him. Look, 17 dribbling, 16 finishing, 15 first touch, and then he also has amazing technique. Mental stats are a little sort of all over the place, but like I said, for 5.5 million to bolster out the squad, can't really be too fussy. His physical stats are also insane. He's got 15 acceleration, 16 pace, 15 agility, 18 balance. So one of those players, look, he can play reasonably well with both feet. He's probably going to be the backup for Bonnie on the left-hand side. Then I also went and got us a young keeper. Look, once again, he was very, very cheap. He's Brazilian, 5.5 million. Once again, 6 foot, can play reasonably well with both feet, super consistent. He's got a good mentality. His agility is really, really good. His natural fitness is good. I am working on his jump and reach because I know it's only 9. But this is one of those ones. Look, if he ends up being a backup keeper or down the line, he's really, really good and we start him as a first choice keeper, we only paid 5.5 million for him. Then probably one of the absolute steals that we got was this guy, Shintaro Nakashio. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Obviously, he's Japanese. 6 foot, can play reasonably well. Both feet, get a really, really good mentality. Good centre back. Physical stats are insane. He has nothing under 13 for a 19-year-old. He's already got 14 strength as well, but he's also got 19 bravery, 14 decisions, 17 determination, 17 leadership, so future captain at some point down the line, positioning of 15, tackling of 16. So he's more of like a no-nonsense centre back. Obviously, I'm going to work on his head a little bit because his jump and reach is already 14, which is pretty solid, and at 6 foot, I want him to be really, really solid in the air. So if we can work on his head and get his head up to like 14 or 15, honestly, for all the price that we paid for him, another one for 5.5 million. I think this is probably one of the best ones we brought in. So boys, that is everybody in the door and everybody out the door. Look, the team doesn't really overly change that much. We've literally just got a left back in and Rossan. Still get Hidel, Badishebu, Nianzu, Fernandez, Taram, Nabobe. Like I said, I'm interested to see how well he's going to progress. And anybody who takes this save on, leave in the comments down below and let me know. I'm always very, very interested to see what players you keep. I think he's just going to be a late bloomer. Like, he really, really is. 6'6", big physical unit. I think just with a couple more seasons, I think he can progress and be very, very good all round. But like I said, this will be the season to see if he does pretty well in beside of Sanko Drago. These three is ridiculous. Like 6'3", 6'4", 6'6", Bonnie, And then Mustafa is going to play the entire season. I'm going to lock him in for the entire season and just see how well he plays. Look, he already had a fantastic season. Like I said, he got those 2 goals against Real Madrid in the Champions League that took it the extra time, and then we ended up winning. So he's proved that he can play in the big games. And of course, Ekitike up top. We still have about 50 million left. So at some point, I either may replace Ekitike or I may bring somebody else in, because up front we're a little light. So if Ekitike gets hurt, we don't really have a ton of replacements. So I may get somebody else in before the window. I'm not overly too sure yet. Also, who's available? I would love to just go and buy Esposito. Look, you know my love for him, but I don't want to do that in every single save and try and keep things as fresh as possible. Also, it's fun playing with different players. But boys, that is the team for season 5. Obviously, if there's anybody good in January, I'll bring you back for the approach of signs, and then we're 5 years in at some point. If you see me back in April, a fucking miracle has occurred for the youth intake. It was 2-star last year, which I honestly don't get. But all in all, boys, look, we've got a good team. We've got a bunch of really, really good young players. That's enough messing about. Let's go play season 5. So, boys, our 5th and final season. Look, I'm hoping to get the league in the bag, also do well in the Champions League. The cup's also very important. Those are the 2 main ones, to do well in the league and to do well in the Champions League. I did bring in a couple of young players, so anybody takes a save on, you're going to have a couple of absolute banger wonder kids in the team. I'm also excited to see how the 3 young players that we have, that we locked in, see how well they did. But let's jump over, see how we did in the league first. So we started things off with a fantastic win over Nice. Young Mustafa got the first goal. Then we faced off against PSG. They started the scoring through Kvaratskhelia. We hit back straight away through a fantastic free kick from Benzagir to finish 1-1 on the night. They made a fantastic win over Olympique Marseille. We started off the scoring through Ekitike. Young Wonderkid Mustafa then made it 2-0. They hit back through Tommy Abraham. Big Taram then made a 3-1. And to finish things off, to finish 4-1 on the night, a lovely goal from Benzagir. Which means 3 years in a row, we've won the league, boys. This makes me so happy, but also the team has played very, very well, and we've maintained our consistency, even with bringing really, really young players in the team. As you can see, 34 games played, 30 wins, which is absolutely fantastic. We had 2 draws, 1 against Multiplier, 1 against PSG, so we can't beat PSG, but we still keep winning the league. We had a loss against PSG and 1 against Olympique Marseille, a 90 goal difference. So I don't know if we scored an absolute bucket load of goals or we just didn't concede a lot. We also finished on 92 points. PSG were not that far behind us. It was only 5 away. We have Asan Quadrago strangely in there for top goal scorers, like Ekitike I thought would have been in there. I don't know if he maybe got an injury or something. Then we have Fernandez in there for average ratings. Assists looks absolutely fantastic. Fernandez, Mustafa, the young wonder kid, in there with 16. And then Mbombe in there for 12, which is good to see. Like I said, I wanted him to step up and start playing a little better. We do have Rosson, our left back. He is in there for yellow cards. I know we did get sent off a couple of times this season. We'll look at the player stats after. Heidel is in there, second behind Donnarumma for clean sheets. That means if we go up to the player stats, most points per game is us just ahead of PSG. Most goals we scored, 118 goals. PSG were a decent part behind us with 89. Most shots for, I was expecting it to be us with scoring that many goals. We are nearly 100 shots more. Fewest shots against was also us, which means we scored the most goals and had the fewest shots against, which is absolutely fantastic. Most clean sheets, PSG with 19, us with 15. I'm very, very happy with this. And then the fewest conceded, they had 18. We had 28. PSG have done well. They had that season where they won the league by like 20 points and only conceded 11 goals, only conceding 18. Listen, I know it's in the French league, but it doesn't matter. Like some of the small teams are the teams that can absolutely trump you. Only conceding 18 is good. We're 28, but if somebody said to you, we're only going to concede 28 goals and score 118, I think you'd pretty much take that. So boys, that is the league in the bag. Let's go and see how we did in the cup. So we started things off in the 9th round against Clermont. We ended up smashing them 8-1. We then played Nice in the 10th round and beat them 4-0. In the 11th round, we played Havre. We beat them 5-2. That then moved us on to the quarterfinals where we faced off against Montpellier. We ended up smashing them 4-1. But in the semi-finals, that's where our cup run ended. Look, I'm very, very happy. We got the semi-finals. Olympique Marseille, I was going to say Monaco there. Olympique Marseille were just the better team on the night. They were already 2-0 up. We scored in the 93rd minute. So, unfortunately, this is where our cup run ends. But hopefully we can do a little better in the Champions League. Even though we did fantastic last year. Look, I want to win it. I want to win it. So we start things off in the Champions League phase against Bayern Munich. They ended up beating us 3-2 in a very, very close game. But then we bounced back straight away against Barcelona, beating them 2-1. Then unfortunately we dropped points against Olympic Lyon, drawing with them 0-0. After that then we beat Dynamo 2-0. Had a very hard fought match against a very, very good Arsenal team. They beat us 4-3. They also have Florian Wirtz in their team. On top of that, they also have Enzo Fernandez. So yeah, their midfield's looking pretty good. We then also lost 2-1 to Tottenham. A 2-0 win over Panathinaikos. This could have been 3, but Hasan Cuadrado missed a penalty. Then in our final league phase match, we ended up beating Napoli 3-2. That means in the league phase, we ended up finishing in the playoffs in 14th, which means this took us to the knockouts, where we faced off against Feyenoord. In the first match, we smashed them 6-1. In the second match, we then ended up beating them 4-0, so that was 10-1 on aggregate, which then takes us to the round of 16. We faced off against Liverpool. They started the scoring through Mo Salah. We hit back 10 minutes later through Ben Seguir to finish 1 each on the night. That meant going into Anfield, we had our work cut out for us, but we started off the scoring through Ekitike. Liverpool then hit back 10 minutes later. Scored a second just after half time. And unfortunately, in the 70th minute, they got another goal to win 3-1 on the night to put us out 4-2 in aggregate. Where once again, I'm not going to be too annoyed with the boys. Look, we made it to the round of 16. Once again, like I said, I would love to make it to the quarterfinals, but we're playing a very, very good Liverpool team. And we've shown that we can hang with the big boys. And that's the most important thing with this rebuild. Showing that we're here to stay, boys. So then moving over into the player stats, Big Hidel played 46 games, conceded 46 and had 16 clean sheets. So not as many clean sheets this year. But we had a very, very good performance from young Oscar Rawson, our new young left back. Played 45 games. Of course, I locked him in. He did get suspended for a few games. As you can see, he had 21 yellow cards. But he had 7 goals and 17 assists. Then Big Fernandez on the other side played 48 games, 5 goals, 23 assists. Then moving over into the big man, the big captain of the team, Badashebu. Started 48 games, 2 goals, 3 assists. I did also notice whenever I dropped in, it's sort of like April for the youth intake, that Nakashio has played quite a lot of games. 31 games started, 9 off the bench, no goals, no assists, but like I said, we're just kind of trying to get him a wee bit of experience. I think he's going to be fantastic. But then on top of that, also Big Tanguy Nianzou also started quite a lot of games. 43 games started, 5 off the bench, 1 goal, 1 assist. And Big Keflin Tram started 43 games because, you know, he nearly always starts. 7 goals, 6 assists. Hasan Cuadrado with an absolute banger of a season. 41 games started, 29 goals and 12 assists and a 7.4 for the season. We had 41 goal involvements in 41 games from centre midfield. In the big man in beside him, of course, like I said, Nabombe, I wanted to see him sort of progress a bit more. He's starting to get a lot of green arrows, starting to go up. His physical stats are absolutely insane. 51 games started, of course, because I did lock him in. 16 goals and 13 assists. So that means what, like 29 goal involvements? That's starting to look a lot better. I still think he needs a few seasons to progress a wee bit more, because he's only a 3-star. He has 4 to 5 star potential. If he gets another star better than this, he's going to be great. Then, of course, Big Wilfred Body, 37 games. I don't know if that's maybe down to injuries or maybe just somebody else is starting a wee bit in front of him, but 22 goals, 7 assists. And of course, the young Maestro Mustafa, the amount of green arrows going up for him is absolutely insane. Of course, he is one that I did lock in. He is now set as a world-class player, which is absolutely insane. After 1 season, he's literally world-class. 48 games started, 20 goals, 20 assists, 40 goal involvements in his 2nd season. Technically a season and a half. In the big man, Ekitike up top, 39 games started, 26 goals, 3 assists. And this is one player that I noticed didn't really start a lot of games, but has progressed very, very well. Samuel Marcos, 3 games started, 45 off the bench, so still a good amount of football. 11 goals, 5 assists. He actually looks fantastic, and also his star ratings have went up. It says could improve significantly, because if you remember, he didn't have a ton of room to improve because I brought him in as a squad player. But it looks like he's got a wee bit of room and he's progressed pretty well. Of course, on top of that, young Ben Seguir is also still here. He's unhappy. He wants a new contract. Don't worry, I've offered him it. 28 games started, 22 off the bench, 14 goals, 11 assists. So what, 25 goal involvements? Pretty good considering he's not starting every game, but he's also starting to progress a little bit more. But I think Big Samuel may have a touch on him with regards to overall potential. But this is what the team has mostly looked like for the season, with going off who the assistant manager has started. Hidel, obviously Rawson, I locked in for the season. Nakiasho started a wee bit more than Nianzou. Them 3, they played quite a lot of football. Taram, Nabombe and Cuadrado. Bonnie, So the great thing is there's also going to be a lot of competition for positions in this team. Like I said, Bonnie, you have young Marcos, an absolute flam machine. If Bonnie's maybe not having a great game, you can throw him on. If Mustafa's not having a great game, you can throw on Benzagir. Ekatike is probably one of the positions where I feel like we don't really have a ton of cover. Obviously, Bonnie and a few others can play in that position. So I did bring in one young player, and it is this young guy, Franco Milano. He is very Esposito-esque. 6'2", can play with both feet, a fantastic mentality. He's a 2.5 star, has anywhere from 4 to 5 star. Natural fitness is good. Jump and reach of 15, 18 heading, so he's going to be a big physical. He's a spit of what Esposito was like in Football Manager. He is going to be very, very digital. I would say, if I was playing last season, I'd probably give him a lot more football, because physically he's an absolute unit. 14 acceleration, 12 pace, 13 agility, 15 bounce. Like I said, that 15 jump and reach, 18 natural fitness. Good stamina, good strength, 6'2". I think he'll end up being the long-term, well, if you take this save on, he will more likely be your long-term striker. But I did also bring this young guy in as well, Joel Coelho. Don't worry, I'll show you the prices that I paid for both of them. I forgot to show you the young striker, but he cost us a total, actually it doesn't show you because it's a future transfer. Hold on. This is going to cost us a total of 6.5 million. This is more just a little bit of cover. Look, he's explosive, good physical stats, good dribbling, good crossing, good finishing, and just like I said, we're playing a lot of competitions. You're going to have some injuries and some niggles and stuff. Honestly, if you want to bring him in, loan him out, that's perfectly fine, but just means you have a little bit of cover there. And young Milano, he costs us a total of about 17 million. This has been absolutely fantastic. Like I said, usually the French League is kind of difficult to make money in. So like we haven't really had a ton of cash. We've had to sell players for like big money and then bring in some young players pretty cheap. The only person I think we paid a ton of money for really was Taram, because that was that total of 50 million, but we made a lot of money. The board have given you a total of 48 million to spend whenever you take the save on. There is a lot of very, very good young players, because if you go into the dev center and go into the under 19s, there is a bunch of really, really good young players in here. And if you go into the second team, there's also a bunch of really, really good players. Charles, the young keeper, I think could be absolutely fantastic down the line. There is a couple of other keepers in my shortlist. If you go over to the scouting and go to shortlist, I do have 3 shortlists. If you go up to the top of the screen up here, default is just the normal players I was having a look at. France is all the players that are French that I was having a wee look at, and then all the Wonderkids. There's some absolute crazy good young players in here. Young Lasse Loft is one player I would recommend probably bringing in. He's only worth 6.7 million. He's very Carnesci, the Atalanta keeper, who's phenomenal. He is very, very like him. And if you can get him for 7.6 million, it means you have a long-term replacement for Heidel. Like I said, on that short list, there's a bunch of absolute stunner players, but you've already got a very, very good team. Obviously, the standouts is going to be Mustafa, a young world-class player that we didn't even really pay that much money for. Paid a total of 11 million for him, and he turned out absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, boys, this has been a lot of fun. Building Monaco back up where they should belong. We won the league 3 years in a row. We won the cup. Made it to the Champions League final. Made it to a couple of semi-finals of Champions League. I think we did very, very well. And if you take this save on, leave in the comments down below. Let me know who you got on. Maybe you changed the formation, what players you kept, what players you brought in. I'm always interested to see how people get on with these saves whenever they take them on. But boys, that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Only if you fucking want to on YouTube. Have yourselves a fantastic day.